Dear students, again very good morning and welcome today to our e-learning program. As far as science is concerned, we have completed one chapter in chemistry, that is chemical reaction and equation, as you know. Then we completed two chapters in physics back to back. That was chapter number 10 and chapter number 11. Why we have to take both the chapters back to back? The reason is both the chapters were related to optics. So we have to take both the chapters together. Now it's turn to take few chapters of biology also. As you all know one thing very clear. In your textbook, if you verify the index properly, so as far as biology is concerned, chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9 are of biology. In these four chapters, 6, 7, 8 and 9, we are going to study various types of life processes. Understand, suppose if you have index with you and you have textbook with you, you can verify that the first chapter, that means chapter number 6, has already got a particular title, life processes. We are going to understand the meaning of life process just now in our lecture number 1 today in chapter 6. Actually in chapter 6, ultimately if you see chapter 6, 7, 8 as well as 9, so all are ultimately a explanation of various life processes only, which are essential and inevitable for the survival of every living organism. No living organism can survive without performing all these life processes. Okay, so chapter number 6, we will discuss about life processes. That's the title of the chapter I have written here. Then I just want to give you a glimpse of biology today before we really start our lecture, chapter number 6. Chapter number 7, that's a discussion about another life processes, that is control and coordination. We will discuss later on when we discuss chapter 7. That explains control and coordination. Then chapter number 8, how do living organisms reproduce? We are going to study in detail the process of reproduction in living organism. Then chapter number 9 gives an idea about a very essential process responsible for the organic evolution, that is heredity and evolution. That chapter we are going to discuss about heredity and evolution. So this way somehow chapter number 6, 7, 8 and 9. 6 discussion about life process, 7 discussion about control and coordination, 8 discussion about how do living organisms reproduce, 9 that's a discussion about heredity and evolution, 4 chapters of biology. Understand? So As you know, I just discussed 4 chapters in biology, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Ultimately, it is divided into 4 chapters, but essentially, it's a discussion about various life process only. Understand? We are going to discuss about various life process which are essential and inevitable for the survival of every living organism today. We are starting first chapter of biology, chapter 6, life process. In lecture 1, understand, we are just trying to understand the meaning of life process. What is actually the meaning of life process? Understand, so if somebody asks you what is the meaning of life process, so your simple answer is some of the activities or some of the processes every living organism has to perform for their survival are known as life process. Understand? Survival means to become live. Every organism, if wants to remain alive, they have to perform some essential life process to remain alive. Question may arise in our mind, who you call live and who you call non-living. So live means what? Is there any particular criteria? It has been some discussion given at the start of the textbook, not so important for as a part of examination, but we are just discussing what is the actually the notion in our mind. Whom can you call live? Suppose a dog barking on the street or person speaking to some other person or somebody walking or somebody running on the road. Understand, we call them live? Yes, definitely, because somebody is running, somebody is walking, somebody is speaking, dog is barking. Everywhere we see some particular movements, and wherever we see movement, that means in our mind it becomes clear that movement means life. Understand? But is that enough? That you see movement, that's the is only criteria to say that some living organism is live? Movement is the only criteria? Movement? Not at all. Suppose if I am sleeping, understand, am I moving at the time when I am sleeping? Yes. My breathing movement, understand, makes me move a little bit. You can see some type of reaction from my body. So even when I am sleeping, at that time also some movement are already going on. Understand? So somewhat if we discuss then movement of some type, maybe running, walking, breathing, speaking, understand, moving hands, whatever, we call movement of some type, we call it live? No. Actually, take an example. How can you say the plant live? Because the plant grows. Understand, when you sow a seed and you water it, sprouting take place and slowly the growth take place. So growth is also one type of ultimately the movement only. The movement also is seen in the growth, we call it life. So somehow the criteria to say that the living organism is live, understand, that is this way somewhat in our mind, understand, but somehow we can consider this only as a criteria to say that some are live. Understand, take an example, virus. Just now, so we discussed viruses are ultimately the non-living. Understand, because they are not moving at all. But the moment they infect any cell, they start growing and show all type of biological activities. Means the movement start, and we call it live. Ultimately, we say that virus is a link between living and non-living. So that link is a demarcation between live and non-live. Until it infect any cell, it is non-live, like a stone on the road. If you see a stone on the road, it is ultimately non-living. The viruses are non-living like that stone, understand? But moment they infect, understand, or attack any cell and start utilizing the DNA of that cell, understand, then the virus become live and shows all biological activity become live. That means it shows all types of movement, and when all type of movement starts, that means live. Understand? Well, somewhat it is clear in our mind, and when I am talking of virus, a single celled organisms, and all type of movement, understand, when I move my hand is actually we are multicellular complex living organism, understand, the movement of uh, organ, that means movement of so many cells, but ultimately all type of activity occur at micro level, that is at cell level, understand, because you all know that complex there can be a process of organic evolution will be a part of our study in chapter number 9, but we all know that in the process of organic evolution we are all complex living organism, multicellular. Suppose if you start from the top, our body, we are a multicellular complex body structure. If you come to the second level, then our body are made up of organ systems. Organ systems are made up of organs. Organs are made up of tissues, and tissues are ultimately made up of cells. So ultimately, though, any activity starts at molecular level, at the level of cell only. Understand? Now, when I say that living organism is alive, I say that the cell is alive. If the cell is not alive, living organism has to die. Means all movements, all activity actually occur in our body at micro level, that is at the molecular level, at the level of cell. Understand? Now, if we want to remain live, we have to make our cell live, and for that there are some essential life processes required. Understand, which are those life processes required to remain live? So as you all know, to if you do not want to break down, understand, your cell, you need some nutrition. Understand? So every cell need, understand, means you need some energy to survive. Energy requirement is a must for every living organism, and that energy comes from outside the body, means you have to take some food. Understand? Until you take food, you do not get energy, and until you get energy, you never remain alive. So you require energy which you get from outside. And outside means you get energy in the form of food. What is food? Actually, it is a bulk of organic and inorganic substances which you take as a food. So that food is actually a bulk of complex organic compound carbon based, because the food which we take from outside consists of what? Carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals, water, understand, and fats. The all are mostly carbon based complex organic compound which you intake in your body. And is how to intake that food. Different organism has got different way of taking food inside. We have got mouth, so every other living organism, understand, have different ways to ingest the food in their body. We'll discuss it. Okay, but one thing, nutrition, we require food from outside. So that food we have to take, that process is called nutrition. So that is one of the most important life process for every living organism, be it unicellular or multicellular. For every living organism, either single celled or multi-celled or multi-celled complex living organism, whatever they are, they require energy for the survival, understand, and for they need food from outside. Understand that process is called nutrition, one of the most important life process, nutrition. Understand? Now, when you take this complex organic compound, organic and inorganic compound in your body, this compound, which I just now spoke the name of the component, carbohydrate, protein, vitamin, minerals, lipids, water, whatever. The compounds which are taken inside has to be broken down into common simpler molecule, understand, so that our cell can utilize them for the energy production. Now how will you do that? Those complex organic compound has to be broken down into smaller, simpler molecule. So that breaking down, understand, requires oxygen from outside. So you inhale oxygen, and that oxygen will help, understand, to oxidize, means to decompose this complex organic compound and convert them into similar, understand, absorbable, simpler molecular forms, right? So that process, inhaling oxygen, it's one part of respiration process, as you know. Now oxygen help us in breaking down these complex organic compounds. Now this complex organic compound inside our cell are oxidized and energy is produced. But at the same time, when energy is produced, some byproduct, the waste material, are also produced in our body. This waste material, understand, to be thrown out of our body. That may be a gaseous waste like carbon dioxide and some other waste, okay, like urinary waste also to be thrown out of our body. How you throw carbon dioxide outside your body? Through exhalation. So inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide, ultimately if you combine, that is another life process called respiration. So many metabolic reactions are taking place in our body, and during every metabolic reaction some other waste are also produced in our body, which needs to be transported and thrown out of our body. So you require again a specific type of system to throw out this waste out of your body. That is called excretion process. Another life process, first was nutrition, to take food, understand, convert it into simpler form, get energy and utilize for survival, understand, maintenance of our cell for survival and to become live, to remain live. So that is called nutrition. Okay. Then respiration, inhaling oxygen and throwing out carbon dioxide, removing waste material from our body, understand, we call it excretion. Now what happens? I want to still mention one another process which we call transportation or circulation. Actually, we are a multicellular living organism like we all, and our body is made up of so many cells, and all cells of our body are not in direct contact with the environment. Understand? So we need a particular transport system so that when you inhale oxygen, it reaches to each and every cell of living organism. So we have got a blood connective tissue which help in transportation of all this material. At the same time, the waste product produced from every cell also need to be transported so that it reach to our excretory organ. So we require another life process which we call transportation also. Understand? So I listed out first one nutrition, then respiration, then transportation, then excretion. At least four life process which I just mentioned. Which one I mentioned? Nutrition I mentioned. Then I mentioned respiration. Then I mentioned excretion and then transportation. These four life processes we are going to discuss in chapter number 6. Now, every living organism, if they want to continue their generation, they have to reproduce. Understand, the other living organism of their own kind. So that is called reproduction. It is also a life process which are going to discuss in chapter number 8. Similarly, in chapter number 7, whatever activity just now life processes I spoke, nutrition, respiration, excretion, transportation, all activity are perfectly coordinated and controlled in our body. That is called another life process, control and coordination. Understand? So this is fifth life process, control and coordination. Sixth, that is reproduction, and seventh, that is heredity and evolution. Understand? Heredity means when you produce another living organism of your own kind, you are transferring your genetic character. So that transfer of genetic character is also one of the life process for our survival. So 7 life processes we just now listed out, which are essential for survival of every living organism. That is nutrition, respiration, excretion, transportation, reproduction, control and coordination, and heredity and heredity. Okay, that means the transfer of your genetic character from one generation to next generation. Now, in this chapter, chapter number 6, we are going to study 4 life process. First one, that is nutrition, we want to study. Okay. So the first life process which we want to study in this chapter, that is nutrition. Ultimately, I explained you just now the meaning of nutrition. Okay, but let me make it more clear. Actually, what is nutrition? So the process, nutrition is a wholesome process. The process of taking food. What is food? I just explained. The process of taking food inside our body, that means ingesting food. Understand? then digesting food and obtaining essential energy from food for our growth and our maintenance and survival. The whole life process is known as nutrition. Okay, so could you understand nutrition? क्या मीनिंग हुआ? What is the meaning of nutrition? Taking food. Food means a bulk of organic and inorganic substances. Taking food inside our body, digesting it, breaking down complex organic compound into simpler one for getting energy for survival, maintenance and growth of the body. Understand? This whole process is known as nutrition. Understand? Now, nutrition also are of different type. There are, if we just want to classify nutrition, we can classify nutrition this way. There are two types of nutrition I can say. Suppose one we call autotrophic nutrition. Try to understand it. Autotrophic nutrition. Okay. Second one is heterotrophic nutrition. But first we will understand this. Autotrophic nutrition. What does it mean? Let us try to understand this first. Autotrophic nutrition. Ultimately, the name itself just explains the meaning. Autotrophic. That means some of the living organism, understand, produce their own food themselves and utilize it. Okay, so that is called self nutrition. Autotrophic means you all know nutrition. Auto means self. The autotrophic means self nutrition. Self nutrition. So you all know that living organism like plants, understand, green plants which consist of chlorophyll. Understand, chlorophyll, one of the main substance, one of the main component in the process of photosynthesis. The green plants, understand, all are autotrophs because they are performing autotrophic nutrition. Understand, they produce a starch, right, one of the complex carbohydrate themselves by utilizing what you already studied in primary standard, by utilizing how many components are required for in the process of photosynthesis which is performed by green plants. So as you know, there is requirement of carbon dioxide, there is requirement of water, and then chlorophyll, as you all know, which is already present in the leaf. Okay, even in green stem also chlorophyll and sunlight. Four components are required for the process of photosynthesis to take place. Now the question is, how plant get all these four necessary components for photosynthesis process? So you all know water, that the plant absorb with the help of roots, sunlight available to plants, chlorophyll, understand, you all know that chlorophyll is present in the plant cell. Just now, suppose this is plant cell, generally big vacuoles, as you know, the nucleus, suppose. So you must have seen the chloroplast. You have drawn diagram even in 9th standard. Chloroplast, okay? And actually this chloroplast contains green colored pigment which is known as chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is already an integral part of the plant that is present in the leaf. Remaining carbon dioxide, plant absorb carbon dioxide actually from atmosphere. Understand, and a plant absorb carbon dioxide from atmosphere via stomata. You must be knowing, and you must have a knowledge about that stomatal pores present on the leaf surface of the plant. Understand, just take an example. Suppose we just suppose draw a leaf. Just take an example. So on the leaf surface, this is leaf, suppose. So on the leaf surface, there are tiny, very minute, which are not easily visualized, understand, easily visible, tiny stomatal pores present on the leaf surface. And these tiny stomatal pores help the plant to absorb carbon dioxide from atmosphere. Actually, how they work? Suppose I just suppose one stomatal pore I have shown. Let us try to understand the structure of this stomata. Actually, there are so many stomatas present on the surface of the leaf, but if we just try to understand one of the stomata, just take an example. What is its structure look like? Understand stomata. Actually, in textbook they have already given a diagram, which you can also see that. Understand, such simple diagram is there. We are just trying to understand stomata. Actually, stomata is surrounded by guard cells. See, I am drawing two guard cells here. Just try to understand. And diagram which I am showing just now, I am showing you open stomata. See, these are guard cells I have drawn. You can consider these are guard cells. Understand, and guard cell contain chloroplast. These are chloroplast consisting green colored pigment chlorophyll. These are chloroplast. Okay. Now what happens? See, and this is what we call stomatal pore. This is stomatal pore. Actually, what happens? I have shown you an open stomata just now. Just try to understand. Actually, stomata is the opening of the two guard cells. What happens? When these guard cells get filled with water, understand, they swell up. Like suppose take a balloon. You take balloon, normal balloon. You just suppose this is balloon, normal. You just stretch it. Understand, it is in this position. Now when you feel air inside it, what happens? The balloon get turgid, and because it get turgid, it bends. So here the same thing occurs. This guard cell in normal position, understand, are like this. This guard cell, if I just show in normal position, they are like this. See, one guard cell and another guard cell. This is its normal position. These are chloroplast, and this is the normal position where the stomata is closed. Understand? Because guard cell are not filled by water, so in this shrinking position, the stomata remain closed. But the moment guard cell gets filled by water, they become turgid and swell up. And because they become turgid and they swell up, understand, actually what happens? Because they swell up, they get stretched, and they come in this position, and as a result the stomata opens and it absorbs carbon dioxide, understand, from the air. So this way carbon dioxide also become available. Okay. Actually, 4 components are required for the process of photosynthesis to take place: carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, and sunlight. How carbon dioxide is taken, that I just explained you. It is already given in textbook also, in our material also, how the stomata actually works. Okay. So actually what happens, stomata, understand, remains open during the daytime, because during the day, in the presence of sunlight, the process of photosynthesis is going on, and plant constantly require carbon dioxide. Okay, but at night the stomata remain closed because there is no need to absorb carbon dioxide at night. Okay, so at night the position of stomata is like this, during day the position is like this. Understand, stomata actually performs two functions. Understand, one function, that is absorption of carbon dioxide from atmosphere. At the same time, stomata also help in the process of transpiration. Understand, transpiration process, you might be knowing that plant lose water from the leaf surface in the form of water vapor during the day. Understand that extra water is lost during the day, so that is also done by stomata, and that process of transpiration helps plant a lot in transporting water, means pulling water from root up to the tip of the leaf, whatever the height of the plant may be. That we will discuss in the process of transportation. Okay, so somehow this four component. Now what happens? Process of photosynthesis actually. Process of photosynthesis, understand, actually occurs in plant by utilization of all these four components, but it occurs in three stages. Actually, in your textbook, they have just given these three stages, understand, but basically you have to remember that the first two stages, understand, are considered as a light phase, and the third stage is considered as a dark phase, because for the first two phases, uh, incidence of sunlight is compulsory, but for this there is no need for the sunlight. This can be called dark phase, and these two are called light phase. If you remember 9th standard, chloroplast has two organs. Can you remember grana and stroma? Okay, the light phase occurs in grana, understand, and dark phase occur in stroma. No doubt it is not mentioned in your text, so we do not have to worry about grana, stroma, light phase, dark phase. If you are asked in exam that photosynthesis take place, understand, in three stages. First, just try to understand, when sunlight falls, understand, during the daytime, chlorophyll present in the chloroplast excites and absorbs sunlight. This is the first process taking place during the process of photosynthesis. You understood the first step? What happened when sunlight is incident on the plant? Chlorophyll present in the chloroplast get excited and absorb sunlight, means absorb light energy. That is the first stage of the process of photosynthesis. You understood this? Second stage, light energy absorbed by the chlorophyll is converted into chemical energy, and water molecule is ionized. You know, when water molecule is ionized, it forms two types of ion. Which two can you say? Hydrogen ion and oxygen ion. So in the second stage of the photosynthesis, two processes take place. First, light energy converted into chemical energy, and water molecule is ionized to form hydrogen and oxygen ion. Third stage, understand what happens in the third stage. Carbon dioxide is utilized and it is reduced to starch, means reduced to glucose. Understand? If you remember the first chapter, can you remind that equation? C6H12O6 plus 6O2 give 6CO2 plus 6H2O. Here opposite to that. Opposite to that means 6CO2 plus 6H2O give C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Exactly opposite process take place and starch or glucose is formed. And that starch or glucose which is formed is utilized by the cell for energy production. That energy help the plant in maintenance requirement and the growth of the plant, and the extra starch, understand, gets stored in the organs of the plant. That means it gets stored either in leaf, stem, root, etc. Understand? So this is how the photosynthesis process take place. And my dear student, you should remember that actually, as this is suppose leaf, so actually if you see the cross section of the leaf, you cut the leaf, understand, from suppose from here, and if you see the cross section of the leaf, actually what happens, it has been given in textbook also. The cross, if you see the leaf, the upper layer of the leaf, and is called what? Epidermis, and the lower layer is called lower epidermis. Between upper epidermis and lower epidermis, understand, there lies cells, guard cells, understand, as well as air spaces, right? And those cells actually just lying below the upper epidermis consist of chloroplast, which has green colored pigment called chlorophyll, and this way the process of photosynthesis take place. So this is called autotrophic nutrition. Understood? And all living organism which has chlorophyll are going to perform autotrophic nutrition. Understand? Right? Now just try to understand one more thing. This is something about autotrophic nutrition we discussed. Okay. So in our today's lecture, we discussed about which you can call live, which you can call non-living. Understand? Why diffusion process is not sufficient in our body, for why we need a transport system. So we are a complex living organism. Those simple unicellular living organism consisting of one cell, understand, that is the whole surface of the cell is in contact with the environment. So they do not need a process of transportation. Even in simple multicellular living organism, there may be the absence of transport system like us, because there the either food, oxygen, excretory product transfers from one cell to another cell just by the process of diffusion, because the food, excretory product or oxygen do not have to travel a long distance. Understand? That does not take place in our body. In complex multicellular living organism, we need a specific transport system for the transfer of each and every material throughout our body. It can be food, it can be either enzymes, it can be either hormone, it can be excretory product, it can be oxygen. Understand? So, plant are also, as you know, in plant also they need a specific transport system. In higher class flowering plants, understand, they need a special transport system for the transport of water as well as food. Understand? We will discuss it in detail in transportation life process. So today, before we end, let us sum up. Today I just gave you an idea about the life process, Understand Biology chapter number 6, 7, 8, 9. Discussion about 7 life processes. Life processes are essential for survival of living organism. Then we started our discussion of nutrition, and we discussed about autotrophic nutrition. In the next lecture, we continue our topic of nutrition. Okay, so thank you very much for today's lecture from Bharat sir.